Welcome back, and we are back. Like I said, we're going to make a quick comeback, and of course, have a very important guest in the studio. We've been talking about Sir Victor Uwaifo, and of course, a lot of his, let me just say, like two of his kids that I know already. We're talking about Leroy, one of them, Leroy Uwaifo, a filmmaker, cinematographer, a writer, creative director, will be joining us, the son of the legendary Leroy Uwaifo, also known as the Mr. Lead Direct. All right, Mr. Lead Direct is a filmmaker, cinematographer, and for decades he has a lot of experience in the media space and also directed a lot of movies. Right now, founded the Novaris Film and Production and Creative Agency focused on visual storytelling for brands and talents. His works blends the heritage, culture, and contemporary African talent right now. So, of course, let's make welcome Leroy. Leroy, how you doing?
Doing very fine. How are you doing today?
Great to have you. So today actually, for some people, today actually marks a sad day in some people's life because, you know, the legendary Sir Victor Uwaifo actually passed on this day in 2021. But then again, for some of us, we'll be like, he lives in our memories. It's going to continue. We're going to continue, you know, remember him right now. So we're going to ask you a couple of questions and let's see how your journey has actually come right now.
All right, Leroy Peter, you're welcome to the show, Mr. Lead Direct. Good morning to you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so before your dad, who we know as Victor Uwaifo, became the icon that we know today, he was simply Victor to the people around him. What was he like at home? We're taking it down memory lane now.
Well, my father was, like you said, everybody knows him as Sir Victor Uwaifo, as the celebrity, the star. But to me, he was daddy. So he was very hardworking. Whatever he wanted to do, like he set his mind to. You get to see him just like achieve those things. He goes all in. Um, Very strict too. You have to be very disciplined. So I think he was like every other man. It's just that, whatever he wanted to do, he'd just make sure like he achieved it.
Of course, you also have your brother with you, Sir Peter the Rock Uwaifo, all right, a gospel high life artist, multi-instrumentalist, who he's the son of Clement Uwaifo and the nephew of the legendary musician Sir Victor Uwaifo, whom he regarded as a father figure after losing his father at the age of 8 as one of the younger members of the Uwaifo musical family. Peter continues to carry on the legacy of the family right now. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, my brother. God bless you.
Great. So we'd love to ask the man who actually refused to be just one thing. I mean, he has, we call that coats of many colors right now. So for Leroy and you yourself, growing up, what was it like growing up with the legendary Sir Victor Uwaifo?
Okay, growing up around daddy, uh, like I always say, is my father and continue to remain my father. It makes me so, because now the popular Sir Victor Uwaifo is a father to me, then I'm very close related to him. So I always feel special and feel blessed. Sir Professor Victor Uwaifo is not just a man, he's a God. So I respect him forever. Growing up with him makes me so special. And I will not forget, he's very disciplined. Very, very disciplined. So I believe I learned that from him. We learned that from him.
All right, now this question is to Leroy. Now, you mentioned that Victor Uwaifo to you is your daddy. Now I would say to me too, he's also our daddy.
He's our daddy.
But yeah, we understand that he was not only a musician, he was a guitarist, an inventor, artist, in the academia as well. He actually thrived. A sculptor, educator, and cultural thinker. That was pretty much a lot of a profile. So now if you are looking at it growing up, if you have to think back to be around someone with so much creative range, what make you see creativity differently now with what you're doing?
Well, I feel like I've been able to absorb all of these traits because I always find myself doing the same type of things, maybe just in a different way. And it's very motivating, and motivating in a way that seeing someone like my father, chase things and would end up achieving that thing, whatever it is that he wanted to do. So it's motivating for me knowing that whatever it is that I'm doing and the things that I've done so far in my life, I've been able to do things and achieve it, not by my strength, not by my power, but by the grace of God. And because all of this talent, all of these things that we emit, as a family, it's coming from somewhere, So I'm just happy that we are blessed, something has been bestowed upon the family for us to show the world and just make sure the world can be a better place.
This question goes to Peter real quick. As someone carrying the same musical heritage right now, I mean, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to actually balance honoring the late Sir Victor Uwaifo without becoming so how do you balance that without becoming his replica? Because of course you're trying to honor him and you're trying as much as possible to stay original as well. So how do you balance all of that?
Come again, sorry.
So as someone who is honoring Victor Uwaifo, how do you balance becoming yourself and not being a replica of Sir Victor Uwaifo?
Okay. Before music, I would say I'm a waifu. Of course, the music thing runs in the blood of the family. So, before stepping on in the legacy of Daddy, I was already a musician. So, I've been doing music since I was little, and it just it's just so amazing that I could able to fit in, because I I see Daddy as my mentor, So I don't see anything different. I don't know how I am doing it, but I just know that I'm representing and as well also being original. I think that's also the work of creativity.
Mr. Leroy, now we understand that we have creative geniuses that is running in your bloodline, and we are so happy to witness and experience all of this creativity. So now the song Jeremy was recorded decades ago, and it's still lingering in the hearts of many, just like Sugar mentioned that it shaped his childhood. That is part of Sir Victor Uwaifo's work of art. And some people were not even born then. Even up until now, people get to hear the song one way or the other. But as a visual storyteller, from your perspective now, what story do you think exists inside those songs that today's generation can still rediscover?
So, if you do understand the story of Jeremy, him being a wrestler and, fighting the seven-headed demons, I feel like the new age, the kids of nowadays will be able to relate that story to a type of art called anime. Because I've sat with that story for a while I've even developed the story further than what people know it as a song. If I were to make it as a film, I have a whole script for it already. So I guess the new generation will be able to discover it by telling it the way they're kind of used to um, the media right now, but just adding your own flair to it. I think it's an interesting story. Um, it only tells us about Jeremy, but I've gone further the line to just add a bit of more characters to it to make sure, the story can be relatable if I were to make it as a film. Um, I'm kind of excited. Like if anyone out there is trying to like produce a great movie, like what's up? Hit me up, you know? So yeah.
You hear in Sir Victor's music that makes you feel like, I mean, this is not just an old school music. I mean, it's a classic, it's legendary. What's that thing you hear in Sir Victor's music?
Um, his approach to music. At the time he was making music, you know, early on, whatever he was doing with the guitar, whatever he was doing with the flutes, um, it was just way ahead of his time, you know. Some days I sit back, I still play my father's records, and I sit with it and I just kind of absorb it. And I'm like, what was this man on, you know? Um, it's it's just different, it's different. There's nobody else that would be him again. His name will forever be in the sands of time. And I guess this is where we come in as his kids, having a legacy and being able to push the boundaries beyond where he has left it, and also amplify whatever he's done. That keeps it alive, which is exactly what we're doing. And I'm just excited that we were able to even do it, and being able to come from this family, this bloodline. So I'm honored.
Very much. So we're going to a quick break. We need to play something very special from Sir Victor Uwaifo. And when we get back, you guys just stay tuned. We still got Leroy and Peter Uwaifo in the building. We'll be right back. All right, there you have it. Two generations, different languages right now. So today, the Uwaifo's creative identity is appearing in different forms right now. So back to Leroy in the house, and of course Peter. So do you think Sir Victor Uwaifo would have actually encouraged you to reproduce what he did, or completely create your own thing right now? So this goes to you, Leroy, or Peter. Anybody can actually answer. Yeah.
If my dad were alive, I told him I was going to make a film on Jeremy. Most likely he would encourage it, because it's like you're already taking what exists, and giving it more life, and which in turn also comes back to whatever it is that he has created, especially when you're having to you make the film, and then somehow the soundtrack, you think about all of these things, because I'm not even just thinking about it like, oh, I want to make a film, I want to be cool about it, but I want to be able to infuse whatever it is that's been created and have it in that film, and just to keep it alive. So I pretty much think he would be happy that I'm doing that.
Great.
All right, thank you so much for that. That's great. Okay,
Yeah,
to
go
Peter.
ahead.
Okay, yeah.
One thing I know about Daddy, he will always encourage you to stay original. To stay original. So he wouldn't want you to do what he's doing. Just be yourself and explore.
Okay, still on Peter now. Thank you so much for that. What part of him do you hear in your own music? What part of Daddy do you hear in your own music?
Okay, it's characters. It's characters. I also see that in my brother, Leroy. His character. Whenever I look at Leroy, it's just as if that is just with me. So I see his characters on Leroy, and it's inside of me as well. So because my mother used to tell me, whenever I speak, whenever I display or perform, the people see the character in me. And also, his approach in music, whenever I hear his sound, it makes me feel as if you're top of the world. So I hear his sounds inside of me, his character inside of me.
Thank you for
Great,
that.
great. So let's talk about legacy real quick. This goes to you, Leroy. So people often think legacy is about, after someone dies, the things he's actually left behind, the tributes to him, and all of that. Real quick, but then again, so what part of Sir Victor's legacy do you think is going extinct right now, or is at the risk of disappearing?
If I were to keep anything truly alive right now, it would be uh, the Revelation Terrace Palazzo, which is a place where people would come and, you know, go. It's like you go on a tour and you learn about the history of the Benin people, the Edo people. You learn about the slave trade. You go through and learn about his own history and his achievements. Um, and then you get into the airplane and you go on a nice ride, like you would say, and that from there you move into the studio. You make records. You just experience where he has made music or where he made a bunch of records that were hits. Um, as far back as the 70s. So if I were to keep that's like the the prime example of the legacy that I would want to put uh, focus on, and even up to the point where like even not just physically, like I would love to you know take that and put it into a virtual reality world. So for people that are not even physically here, to be able to experience that world and experience that the tour just the same way it will be like when they're here in person. So these are things that I've thought about, and by the grace of God, I'm gonna be able to do that with the help of my siblings and the rest of the family. So yeah, I think that's just one part of it. I think the music already speaks for itself. The things he did here on Earth already speaks for himself. I don't think my dad is dead. You know, I I've heard things, I've seen things in trance, and he said, "I am not dead. You don't believe me? Touch me." And like it felt very real. So I don't even really speak in past tense for the most part because he's alive.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's alive in you and in every of the other children. Yes, we believe that.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Now, so Peter, let's talk about connecting the older generation with the new age generation. Are you with me, Peter?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, now we understand, like, you have to explain to a 16-year-old, for instance, we want to, like, reintroduce Sir Victor Uwaifo to a 16-year-old, because we know that in this new age, we know the likes of Burna Boy, Whiskey, Davido, Thames, Ira Star, and the likes, Victoria and the likes. But yeah, when you mentioned Victor Uwaifo, they might not really catch the gist or the vibes, particularly when it comes to debates regarding Afrobeat and all of that. To you now, how can you reintroduce Sir Victor Uwaifo in this new age to a 16-year-old? I will make him understand.
Okay, I can easily introduce Sir Victor Uwaifo through performance because I don't think the the new generation they don't really know what it takes to be a performer. to be a performer. You can be a musician. To be a musician is one thing. To also be a performer is another thing. So I can easily introduce the Sir Victor Uwaifo through performance. You understand? And with that, we are good to go.
Great. And for you, Leroy, let's still hammer on preservations and connections right now. You as a filmmaker, you mentioned something about animations and all of that. Do you think actually having an animation, a story, have an animation through storytelling of all of this will actually draw a younger audience to the works of Sir Victor Uwaifo?
Quite frankly, yes, I think it will. But it all boils down to how you approach it. Currently, I'm working on a visual, which will be out very soon. Just to kind of like visualize the story of, Guitar Boy and the things he did in Lagos even before he won his gold disc and everything. So this is something that we will be dropping, hopefully per episode. It gives you a clear visualization of like, oh, this man was like this by this time, or he was doing this, at this age, and it's something I'm excited about. It's still in the works, but like we say in Nigeria, it's going. So yeah.
Is passing, the works are still going on and on and on, and we really appreciate you for that. So now, if you look at 50 years from now to the younger Nigerians that are going to be coming, what is that one thing you want them to remember Sir Victor Uwaifo for? One thing.
Kind of hard to say one thing, because it wasn't one man. It wasn't like he didn't emit one thing. So I don't know how to say that. I want them to remember him for one thing. But if I were to pick, I want them to remember him as someone who came into the world to, pass a very strong message. What a lot of people don't realize today is, as much as the records, the Jeremy Guitar Boy and all of that, I think my dad had a lot of appraisal music to God. And there's a way the song connects to me when I listen to all those songs, aside the hit. There's a way it connects to me, and I know he was very big on, having God at the forefront of whatever he did. So I guess that's where his genius came from, and I want people to remember him as a man of, God, someone who had gratitude for, where these gifts came from. I feel like every other thing speaks for itself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter, for stopping by. We should do this again, not just on the day he actually passed on. We should do this more often so we can actually keep remembering Sir Victor Uwaifo. So a legacy is not preserved simply because we remember a name. It survives when the values, ideas, and creativity behind the name continues to find new voices. 5 years after passing, Sir Victor Uwaifo remains more than a memory. He lives in our hearts. The question now is whether Nigeria will simply remember the legend or continue to engage with the genius. Thank you, Leroy, and thank you, Peter, for stopping by. We'll go on a quick break, and when we get back, don't forget the OP Women Conference is on right now. We'll be right back.